Hello, and welcome to Morning with a Mentor. My name is Diller Schwartz, and I am your host. Please join me on Wednesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. while I interview top talent in our KW Austin family.
When I started teaching Ignite, I would offer that constantly. And I hardly got any questions. I hardly got anybody take me up on it. It's surprising. I'll offer to do that all day long. And some folks, they just don't. Maybe it's the illusion of you think you can do it by yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to get over, right? When you see all these success stories about this person did it. They had so many people to help them. And you get humble about saying, I don't know this. I really need some help.
Oh yeah, I wrote my first farm and ranch contract yesterday. And so I have a mentor that's helping me because I don't know how to do them. And yeah, it's my first one ever since 2013. Over 3,000 contracts, and here we go. And the mistakes I made were like I'd never even seen a real estate contract. And it's a beast.
It's a beast.
Yeah, it was really funny. I put out a bet to my team. I said, how many mistakes do you guys think I'm going to have on just the first run of the contract? So yeah, definitely glad I brought in someone that, I know in the market center. Jan Gunter's helping me. But yeah, it takes a village. It takes a team constantly.
It does.
All right, guys, let's get started. Okay, Coach. What are your priorities today?
My priorities today. I blind copied you on my 411 email this morning. So I've been doing a 411 for almost 2 years straight. I've missed a week or two for vacation. So my priorities, I have a week. I focus on like a 90-day attack. So my priorities this week were to send 10 personal note cards to my database this week, which gives me a lot of leeway. I find that if I front load that and do that earlier in the week, if I do that earlier in the week, I get it done. And you see kind of my monthly goals. My goal is from July to September to help either 6 buyers or sellers. And then you'll see there below, like July 8th, 10 personal note cards, host open house, promote coming soon listings. Last week, I sent like 40 Happy Friday text messages for 4th of July. Hey, Happy Friday. Hope you have a great 4th of July, like within an hour or so. So I front load. I'm in a situation where I've had years of really being intensely connected with my database. I went to Bold 14 times. Like my wife kept saying, what, do you just not learn? What I found was the accountability was helpful for me. I see Eric laughing like, I was like, what, again? And she goes, I can tell when you're on Bold. So what do you mean? She goes, because you're so intense. So while I'm focused and I'm competitive, so I think every day, who do I really need to talk to today, connect with, top of mind, and I have a secret weapon. I'll look back at my text messages for the last month and say, oh yeah, I got to talk to this person, follow up text, what have you, and thinking, wow, because they're in my recent cadre, so to speak.
Perfect. So the 411, that's where your goals are. And you're sort of like on this 90-day plan.
Yeah. I measure it by, okay, my goal is to have like 6 of those transactions, and it gives me a target. Now I'm careful about that because I sometimes those outcome-based goals can be lids, or you can kind of say, well, I'll be okay with 6. No, I want to do as many as I possibly can, but I find that helpful for me, like a 90-day sprint goal, so to speak.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a few more people that just popped on. So
there's Cat's on my 411 email. So is Cindy.
There you guys go.
They can probably tell you that I am pretty consistent, right?
Okay. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I've heard about the 411 from Coach Ken too. So word spreads quickly around here. Let's go to the next question. Okay, so what are your lead gen goals today?
Today is all about the follow-up. leads, potential listing folks, potential buyers. I knew when I was going to transition out of coaching back into production. About a year before I did that, I started really connecting to my database, text, emails, phone calls, started meeting with them for a coffee. I take a couple of key folks and meet with them for coffee once or twice a month when I can. That's the priority. So I constantly think of, my grandmother used to say, stir the pot. How can I stir the pot today? Who really are my top priorities? Need to follow up with, talk to, and that includes like vendors and past clients and such. So it doesn't ever stop. I got a text from Ben Lucas the other day. He goes, how does your business is so cemented? Like, where do you get your clients from? I'm like, why do you think my business is cemented? Do you really think that just because I've had past success, my database, that's going to keep going? I don't think so. I'm a little paranoid about it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So that keeps me focused to say, holy cow, I got to connect with folks today. Like I can't just sit around and be me, because that's not good.
So you've mentioned texting a lot, and I'm also a big fan of bold, and bold 12 times, not 14. So now I got to take it because my inner competitor's like, well, now I got to be Ken. So a long time ago, text messaging didn't count. Remember, like they were like,
yeah,
who cares if you text 100 people? That does not count for your contacts. However, I do think communication, and now bold communication's changed. Bold is now saying you can text. How are you going from text to coffee?
oh yeah. So it always comes back to a call. So this is a couple of years of, when I did bold 2 years ago, I sent like 300 text messages through Twilio.
Mm-hmm.
How many folks do you think replied to my text message? 300, because you can bulk send them. Like it sent a bunch out. You're thinking, what are you doing? Yeah, 300 to my database.
I'm gonna let you guys pop in. What do
How
you
many
guys
do
think
you
the
think
results were?
replied to me or interacted with me?
If you're driving, just hold up some fingers. All right, we got
Take a
5,
guess.
I got a
20,
3,
20.
I got a
20.
20, I got a 10.
Try 90.
So real quick, what's Twilio, so that we do also know that.
Twilio, yeah, Twilio is that cool text thing you can use and pay for. That's like, you just need the basic, and it will send text messages to folks. And I wanted to start training my database that, hey, and I said, hey, this is really me. This is not a spam message. This is a secure text line, because it's more secure than some of my texts. So I started to teach them that, hey, this is a secure way to reach me and connect with me. And I would get 4 or 5 text messages to myself to say, hey, is this really you? I'm like, yeah, this is really me. So the power of, I had 90, it took me a day or two to go through, and then if you can type it right and respond through Twilio. So that was a year. It took me a few years to teach my database that this was one way I was going to communicate to them, one way I was going to connect with them. And now they get happy birthday messages from me. They're like, hey, thanks, Ken. Now a couple of years later of investing my time in going through and learning the system, I was able to teach my database, this is my intention to stay in touch with you. So that was the bottom line. I intended to stay in touch with them. And I really work at that and think, how can I best stay in touch with people? Because it's my job. It's my job to stay in touch. It's not theirs, because they will forget about you. They just do.
Perfect. And I think a question that everyone on the call should really ask themselves, and maybe write or journal about it, however you record these things. What are you teaching your database? And if you can't answer that question right now, set a goal to really think about, what is that? Let's just say, where are we on Wednesday? By Friday, what do you want to implement that you start actually teaching your database something?
Yeah,
That will give you a good reason to reach out to them.
yeah. I really feel like the database, you may appear to have like really good leads, meet at open houses, people you've never met before that you have in conversation, networking. And a lot of those times those folks don't, teach them how to send referrals. Yeah. a lot of times those leads are kind of colder leads. I often feel like, you know what? And if I don't connect with them, I feel like actually my real opportunity are folks in my database, especially like the dormant contacts. Dormant meaning I hadn't connected with them in about a year or so. I feel like that's a huge opportunity for me because I'm not having to recreate the wheel.
And you're in sort of a new season of your real estate career too,
Oh,
right? You were in
yeah,
production and then you
yeah,
were in coaching and then now you're back in production. And I think
yeah.
we can find these seasons in all of our lives. My new season is parent groups.
Man, it's huge, right? I mean, the parent connection thing is a powerful. That same agent, Ben Lucas, was saying, "How did you meet all these folks?" I said, "You know, I volunteered a lot." He goes, "Well, like church." I said, "I volunteered in scouting for like 14 years. Camped, hiked, was a scoutmaster, cub master, and I did it. I did that a couple of, you know, heck, I would say for the first 5 or so years, it didn't really see the fruits of the labor, but later on, the bulk of my business came from those relationships. From you invest time in those relationships. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So figure out what season it is for your business right now or your
Mhm.
personal life and how can you incorporate that into growing your database. All right. So next question. How will you know that you won the day?
Mm. Yeah, I have for me, I have like metrics. I have 5 metrics. I want to make sure I'm curious the whole time, not be judgmental. I want to do like one kind thing, like, right, those are the top things, right? Be nice to somebody where there's no, they can't return it to you. I want to make sure I take care of my health, spend time with my family. So they're kind of character things. And I really want to work to tell the truth and be trustworthy. So I think of the character things that I want to put out into the world. Share, be curious, not be judgmental. I keep hearing Coach David say, don't get frustrated, be fascinated. I'm like, oh my God, he's so right. Like, I can't get that out of my head. So each day I keep thinking, those are my metrics. Hey, have I been good today? Have I really spent time with my family? Have I been kind? Am I curious? Am I really, when you think about adding value, you you just can't show up and add value. You have to think of what are ways that I can add value to whomever I come in contact with.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So next question. This is my favorite question. If you had to get one home under contract in 14 days or less, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm talking
You
to
can
that. And
pick buyer or seller.
I have a listing where the sellers have pretty much said, "Hey Ken, we got to get this sold," and we have an investor, and I'm going to call that investor. And we're going to get them under contract by next week because I think it's one of those investors where I feel like they're honest about it, but I want to get them to their goal is so important to me. So that's how you know. Hey, how do you know how to reduce price? Well, if the client's goals are they want to move and get going, then that tells them, hey, I may have to take a little less here so I can get to my goal. If you keep them focused on the goal, it's never about price. It's about, hey, what's your goal? You know what? Let's get you there. You're going to forget about in 5 years the fact that I had to reduce my price a little bit. I want to, their goal is they're retired teachers. They want to go live by their parents. So that's my job. I'm going to make sure I help them with that goal.
So what are some of your curiosity questions to move them from this is what I want to net, or maybe
Oh
some
yeah.
people are stuck on this is what I want to list at to retirement. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's downsizing, but what are those curiosity questions that you're asking to one, discover it, but two, keep them focused on it?
I love the grow model. So the grow model is, gee, hey, remind me again what your goal is. Tell me again about what is your goal, right? And they say, well, it's to move to here. Okay. And then the R is reality. So what's really happening to us right now? What do we really think is happening? What's happening right now, really, in reality? Well, we're not getting showings. We don't have contracts. Yep. Yep. What do you think are our best options going forward? O is the options. This is the logical model that helps people. Okay. Hey, great. I could do nothing. I could lower my price. I could offer buyer incentives. Coach David. So as you look about it, they think, well, I'm not really sure. And I would say, okay, remind me again of the goal. I take them back to the goal. Hey, so what's the goal again? Yeah, I want to get there. Okay. All right, great. And the reality is right now, we're not really getting showings. The options are, I make them talk about the options. Is there anything else you can think of option wise? No, not really. The W is, so what do you think you will do? What do you think you will be committed to do? What's the best option going forward? What will you do on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you motivated? What are you committed to do? That's a simplified version of that grow model. Holy cow. I can't tell you how many times it's helped sellers and buyers. It's a logical model to remind them of the goal. So the weird part is if the goal changes, you're going to find out. So sometimes you're like, well, the goal's changed. Wow. I had that conversation on Saturday. The goal literally changed. Christy Adams is helping me with the co-listing in Circle C, and they literally said, well, we think we can actually hold off and wait till put our house on the market in March and not now. I'm like, wow, your goal changed. You're like, yeah, I think the goal changed. So it can change midstream. So how you respond to it, David, you'll be proud of me. I'm like, okay, don't be frustrated, be fascinated. I'm like, okay, oh, wow. So what's causing you to want to do that? Well, it's our cash flow. You have to stay in the curious to me, coach, makes you ask questions and it puts the focus on your clients. And they can tell if you're really curious or not.
And so something I want to just challenge everyone. Did you guys hear? So this is a story with one of Ken's deals, right? And he's thinking he's getting this listing in X amount of days. And then they just said no next March. Were y'all like, oh man, he lost a deal? Because if your pipeline is so big, you have the ability to move this to March. That's your new business plan. All right, cool. This family goes over to March. Now what's next?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the mindset you should have around your pipeline and what we were talking about your database earlier. If you keep growing your database, you don't have the one client that just moved, and you can actually stay in curiosity because fear doesn't set in, or pain.
No, true. Or pain or fear or loss. Or I was like, wow, tell me about our cash flow, they're a retired couple. Our cash flow is going to be better. Cool. And is that going to interrupt any of your other plans? No. Okay, great. Well, then let's just watch the market and you kind of tell me. So all of a sudden the goal shifts, thinking, all right, so the goal is shift. I told my wife the other day, she goes, how many listings do you have? And I said, well, I've got, several. And I thought if I can help 60% of those this year, I think it's a win. I'm not assuming I'm going to help everybody with their goals. So I feel like if I'm batting 60% this year, I think that's a pretty strong win in my opinion.
Right. And you have to have the pipeline to have the 60%.
Yeah, right. You do. For whatever reason, I've got a bunch of listings coming, and it's interesting because the 2 or 3 of the listings are conversations that I've had for at least a year or two, and 2 are really severe life circumstances. One meaning I think one of my clients is dying from cancer, right, and has to sell. So when you see that hit you, man, it's powerful. You're like, wow. If you think you're just selling homes, you are not.
Yeah, we're not just selling homes. We're figuring out a lot more than that. Okay, so if you had to get a contract in 14 days, you're going to what's currently on your pipeline, and you're finding 2 people, and you're going to make a deal happen, and you're giving yourself what I think you said a week to make.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen because their goal is really clear, and I make sure to stay in communication. The worst thing you can do with buyers and sellers is to not talk with them each week or so. Just let them kind of sit around. The worst feeling I ever have, coach, is somebody says, hey, what's our strategy for this week? I'm the quarterback. I'm the one that should be leading that conversation.
Yep.
I hate it when somebody says, hey, what's next? No, that's my job to tell them what's next. I'm like, oh my God, I'm falling down on the job, right?
I feel like the easiest clients are the ones, like, just being transparent here, that I actually fail the most with, because it was so easy to get it, maybe less communication. than what I would
yeah.
normally have with a client. And because it was so easy, great, got the listing agreement. They listened to everything I said. We're on the market. And because the pattern wasn't always to talk a lot, that when we're finally on the market, and like maybe they just don't ask a lot of questions. And then I'm like, oh crap, I listed Ken's house last week. I've got to keep following up with them.
That's interesting. You say the pattern was you had not really talked a lot and communicated enough. And there's that level of trust. Wow.
Yeah, I think that if you go into the pattern of even the mindset you were in driving to the appointment, that's going to carry out, right? Our patterns, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but the way you buy a banana is the same decision-making pattern as you buy a car.
Ah,
We're all wired that way. So that's also similar with conversations. Side note. Okay, so Ken is going to get that under contract in 14 days, or sorry, by next week. He's going to play marriage maker within his investor and seller. Okay, so what is one suggested action item that you think everybody should have on their calendar? A few items that we've been told: send 10 business cards, send 10 handwritten notes each day, schedule your open houses by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, door knock 10 to 15 homes to the left and to the right. What is an action item that you think everyone should have on their schedule?
One of the most powerful things that I would use are my gratitude calls. So pick 5 people in your database or sphere that you've not told them how grateful you are for them. And you must call them and tell them, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being a great friend. Thank you for being, by the way, this works great with family. Call, text them and say, you know what? I've never told you how grateful I am for you. Thank you for just being in my world. Hope you're good. That's it. That's about as easy of a call or text. And they'll probably text you back and say, are you okay? Like something's wrong. It's one of the most powerful things you can do.
So what happens when they call you back? Hey, what's wrong, Coach Ken?
They're like, wow, like, what's wrong? That was so nice. Like, how are you? Like, again, I stay in the curious tone. I'll say, I'm doing good, but tell me about you. I always want to hear about them first. I don't ever want to talk about myself. I want to get to the point where it's all focused on them. And the gratitude part is just the simple, and it'll come a couple of weeks later saying, they'll call me and say, wow, that was so nice. You made my day on Friday or whatever. And they're like, it's a God thing. I'm like, well, not really. It's me actually kind of taking the time to think about you. It's not really a God thing. It's so you understand how you have to be purposeful and really keep people top of mind. And if they're top of mind, if you have 5 people you need to talk to, you've not talked to, you know who they are already. I know you know who they are. You just have to pick up that phone, text or call. If they're not used to calling, text and say, hey, I wanted to see how you were. Give me a quick call today. I just want to say hello. It can be as simple as that.
So calling someone and being nice to them, how does that translate to your real estate? Like, okay, so thank you. You're thinking about me today.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you getting real estate business out of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Those are all folks that I'm establishing the relationship to say, hey, I value you. Thank you for whoever you are. Appreciate you. I'll even continue to say, hey, tell me about you. Is there anything I can do to help you, like business wise? What I find eventually, they'll talk about themselves quite a bit. Eventually, though, they'll say, well, how is your business? Tell me about you. And I'll say, well, I've got several of these properties, but I'm a little slow right now. I'm looking to help someone. If you know of somebody that I can help, because most people come across in this market 3 to 5 folks that are going to buy or sell. I just ask them, hey, if you can introduce me to one this year, I would appreciate that. You get better about asking for business.
You have to ask for it.
You have to ask for it.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And then let's see. Does anybody have any questions? I think I've gone or kept up with the chat over here.
Those are great questions, Coach.
Good. Thank you. Okay, no questions over here. If you guys have questions, you can. I know that let's go, Jane. You can either ask or type. If you're driving, please.
Today was red day. You notice David and I have our red on, so I see Diane has red.
There
Hi,
we
good
go.
morning, everyone. I look a little bit messy because I just went swimming and come back.
It's okay.
But
We love personal care.
yeah. Okay, my question is, um, so I think my current obstacle is when I go to open house. I saw people very different from me, from my culture. I mean, I'm just part of American culture, but obviously people can tell I'm from another country. And
Mm.
the plus, I'm new. Plus, I can be nervous. But how can I win the trust of people? And sometimes my mind already talks to myself, oh, maybe they just don't want me to present them because they usually tell, it's like when I host the dealers open house, the lady come here, and when I asked her, do you have her agent? She said no. And after I've been very kind talking with her and she laughed, I said, oh, can I follow up with you? And she said, I have an agent. And I was like, am I that
Oh, I love it when they say I have an agent. Oh, who's your agent? Tell me about them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still cannot go to ask this brave question. I mean, my obstacle in my mind is like, I actually don't believe it's it's so natural for people there if they see me like from another country being new, they want the natural. I have no problem connecting with my own people, but if it's very different, I still want to build trust with them. But now my mindset is having that obstacle. I'm trying to cross that bridge to really build the trust and make them feel like I can trust you and have you work
Mm.
with me. That
Mm.
is my difficult now.
Yeah,
Difficult.
it sounds as if I heard you say believe, and I hear your feelings. Um, I hear the doubt a little bit in your voice, and buyers can hear that. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't take that as seriously. I would say, hey, you know what? Um, I had not done open houses for 7.5 years when I left coaching, came back. And it took me a good year and a half. I did 45 open houses last year to get really better at asking good questions. And then I would even say, hey, who's your realtor? Oh, it's so and so. Give me their name. I'll tell them you showed up at my open house. And they would give me the realtor. I'd let them know. But half the time, the couple would stay there and talk. And finally, one of them would say, well, she's really not a realtor. She's just been sending us stuff. So I would say, hey, you know what? I'd love to be the person to help you. I think asking for the job is helpful. How about we set an appointment to talk this next week, setting the appointment there and following up. So Jane, all I can say is you have to suck at it for a little while and go through it and get comfortable. I'm in my early 60s and I'm talking to folks in their early 30s. You want to talk about a different cultural connection? That's a way different cultural. So I'm feeling you. I know I'm like, I'm this old guy. Why would they listen? Why would they want to work with this
Are
old guy?
you faxing them offers? You know that we don't fax anymore, right?
I know we don't fax anymore. We
Okay,
don't
just
print them. No, I'm not. I got past that.
okay.
So I also feel like you should do open houses not by yourself either, Jane. You should do them with other agents. So practice and repetition matter. I don't think any of you should be doing open houses by yourselves, period, for safety and also for repetition and practice. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. And Jane, you have to remember that your words create your reality, and you have
Mm.
created a reality in your head that's not true. So just start, like, before you even get out of your car to put that first sign in the ground, you need to say to yourself, like, something that's motivational and affirmation. And that sign going in the ground should be the physical connection between, like, it should fire off that
Yeah.
affirmation. So that first sign needs something very positive. So when you put it in the ground, like, you grab your fist, put it in the ground, and whatever you need to say, I'm a great salesperson, I'm going to do this. You have to change your words to
Mhm.
create a different reality.
Yeah, you must stay curious to say, today I'm going to connect with people, talk with them, ask great questions, and make sure they know I'm here to help. That's my entire goal. If I just do that today, no matter what, I've done my job. And if I show up and nobody shows up, but let my database know through social media, whatever that I'm working. I want my database to see that I'm working too.
Coach Ken, I just want to add that for me, this is Ileana,
Hi,
and
Ileana.
I have to give you your flowers because for me, I had limiting beliefs like that. And what really helped me was actually Coach Ken. He was the coach that I hired when I first switched over to KW, and it made such an absolute difference in the way that I think, the way that I behave, the way I conduct business. You need to find a great mentor like Coach Ken.
Yeah, thank you, Ileana. Yeah, the belief part, you have to think, I remember Ricky Kane telling me this. He goes, when are you going to see yourself as valuable as others see you? When are you going to start believing? And because you have a lot of doubts, right? And you have a lot of, so it's a process. You're not ever, you don't ever arrive there, by the way, just so you know. You're not ever all put together. You're not going to wake up morning and say, I've got this, I won. No, guess what? You get to start over. You get to start over. You like, what happened? Well, guess what? I get to start this over again.
Yes, sir. All right. So we're at 9:02. Thank you for the extra 2 minutes. For those of you who are new, we do this every Wednesday. If you have a coach or someone in the market center that you want me to interview, we go through the same questions. We don't give the questions out ahead of time. And you can actually join this on Zoom with wet hair from the swimming pool. I saw someone walking. I saw someone on the moon this call. That was the coolest part. And this is just meant for you guys to jump in and be casual, driving around, doing whatever. And we're trying to make a library so that we can share with new agents as they come into the market center. So keep coming, invite your friends. And then also at 9:15, if you are interested in finding a mentor, we are having an orientation, at 9:15 back on this Zoom link.
Thank you. A big thank you to Coach David Burton and to Coach Diller Schwartz, to the coaches who, it's a pretty thankless role. I want you to know that. And they do it because they enjoy it and they love giving back. And we get way more from the process than you realize. I did anyway. So thank you, Diller. Thank you, David. Thank you for all that you all do relentlessly to pour into others, because you believe in people when they don't believe in themselves. That's the truth.
Yep.
That's the truth.
All right, guys, we'll talk to y'all later, and I'll
Coach.
see you at I'll see you at 9:15 if you're interested in signing up with a mentor.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.